Eyeball movement desensitization and reprocessing, or EMDR, was initially developed back in 1987 by Francine Shapiro for the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Francine serendipitously discovered EMDR whilst walking in a park, whereby she noticed that certain eye movements reduced the intensity of disturbing thought. She further noted that her own anxiety was reduced when she brought her eye movement under voluntary control while thinking about a traumatic thought. Now, at first glance, this might seem strange, but there is a scientific and simple explanation for EMDR, which makes sense and explains why it works and how it works. When we experience a traumatic event, it needs to be processed by our brain, and then it needs to be integrated into our experience and memory storage centers. This is often completed through the mechanisms of sleep and time. So when we go to sleep, we cycle through these repeating sleep stages, each with a different duration and function. One of those sleep stages you may have heard of. It's called REM, and that stands for Rapid Eyeball Movement. This is when we are dreaming and our brain is highly active and busy processing and consolidating all of our experiences, a bit like a defrag on a computer. Traumatic experiences can take a little bit of time to process, just like a physical wound can take a little bit of time to heal. Our brain needs to sort through all the input it has received and decide what to do with that information. So some of it can be moved to a new filing center, some of it gets deleted, and some of it might be left untouched. Too traumatic or too difficult for the brain to deal with at that moment in time. So it leaves it where it is and it will come back to it later. This is where PTSD happens. And we don't diagnose PTSD in the first month after a trauma because we realize that the brain sometimes needs time to heal and do its job. When this processing hasn't happened naturally, that's where EMDR can be helpful. We manually replicate the sleep stage of REM and we help move the trauma memories out of the emotional processing centers of the brain and into another area where it can be rendered and processed efficiently. REM is something you can observe in all sleeping animals. You'll notice their eyes darting back and forth under their eyelids, and this is a sign the animal is dreaming. Their brain is very active and bilateral brain stimulation and processing is also occurring. Bilateral brain stimulation means that both hemispheres of the brain are communicating and lots of messages and information signals are passing quickly between various brain regions. Your body is temporarily paralyzed, presumably so you don't act out your dreams and get injured, and you are very vulnerable to psychological stimuli in REM states. So if you know how, you can influence the dream state of a sleeping person. Fascinating stuff. You see, normal memories are stored by a part of the brain called the hippocampus. You can think of the hippocampus as a sort of librarian which catalogues or processes events and stores them in the right place. However, some traumatic events like accidents, abuse, disasters or violence are so overwhelming that the hippocampus doesn't do its job properly. When this happens, memories are stored in their raw, unprocessed form, and these trauma memories are then easily triggered, leading them to replay and cause distress for the person over and over again. And they experience these memories as if they are reliving them, as if they are happening again in the present moment. And this is why EMDR, which stimulates some of the natural processes of REM sleep, is a helpful tool for trauma. At my workplace at Healthwise in Bundaberg, Queensland, we use special technology to assist a person with trauma and some other conditions too. We help process their trauma so they can get past the emotional blockages and live a full and meaningful life, no longer impacted by the adversities of their past. I'm going to now show you our equipment at Healthwise and a brief example and a simulation of a client in an EMDR session. So this is the EMDR machine that we use. We don't use our fingers. This provides much more effective results. One, it's less awkward when you're sitting in front of a client and you're moving your fingers back and forward. It's in their personal space. You're watching them and it can be uncomfortable. It's also tiring for a therapist to continually be moving their arms. Sometimes the sessions are an hour or longer, and that can become very tiring. So we use the machine here. The program is very simple. You just download it and turn it on. We've got the light beam, which is as simple as doing this.
and it connects via Bluetooth. You've got the pulsators, which you can hear there, and they vibrate in each hand, sending a little pulsation from the left side of the arm up through to the right side of the brain for that bilateral stimulation. You will also be able to control the individual elements here. So if you want to turn the pulsators off, you just turn them off. They're off now. What you won't be able to hear through the headset is the beeping, which you can adjust on the app as well. So we just go back, we go to headphones, and you can choose whether you hear a click or whether you hear a beep or different types. You can custom the sound as well and add your own sound. The light tube, you can change the colours. So by just simply pressing blue, red, green, you can change the colours of the light stream. You can also increase the intensity, the light, and the speed.
Here we have our administration manager simulating an EMDR session. You can see she is watching the light stream, listening to auditory beeps and experiencing the bilateral pulsations. If you would like some more information about EMDR, or if you'd like to inquire and see if EMDR is a suitable therapeutic option for you, we have more information on our website www.healthwiseqld.com. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other and have a very happy and peace-filled day. Bye now.